Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to be diving into my top 5 best teams for the Great League. A fresh, new Season 11 edition of my top 5 best teams, guys. As the interlude comes to a conclusion in just a couple of days from now, we say bye-bye to the interlude season, and we say hello to Season 11 of Pokemon Go Battle League. So, with a new season upon us here pretty soon, guys, a lot of things have happened since my last official top 5 best teams list, guys. Since that last list, we've had Walrein introduced into the meta. We've had, of course, Araquanid not too long ago. Shadow Alolan Marowak. A lot has changed and the meta has shifted. So we got a fresh new Season 11 edition of my top 5 best teams. And Season 11 should be a lot of fun. Rankings are back. I am super excited. But without further ado, guys, let's hop into team number 1. All right, guys, here we go. Was there ever any doubt what top 5 best teams wouldn't be complete without the team that you're seeing right here, guys? Team number 1. We all know this team by now, but guys, it is as good as it's ever been. And it is still the best team you could possibly run in Pokemon Go Battle League and the Great League. That just goes to show, guys, if a team like this can withstand the test of time for so long and still be the best team you could possibly run, you know it's a darn good team. And it is none other than Bastiodon on the lead, good old Sableye on the safe swap, and Medicham in the back. Close the game strong. This team needs no introduction, and it has consistently been on my top 5 best teams list ever since I've started doing them, and that is just because it is overpowered beyond belief, especially now with Shadow Alolan Marowak being recently introduced, and Araquanid, of course. This team is better than it has ever been, so drum roll for the scorecard. Was there any surprise? Look at this, guys. I'm not kidding when I say this is literally the best team you could possibly run in the Great League. It still is after all this time, guys. Look at the scorecard. You get an A for coverage, A for bulk, B for safety, and an A for consistency. You don't get much better than that, I'm telling you. So let's have a look at these matchups here. Of course, a lot has changed, guys. The meta has shifted quite a bit. So Bastiodon, of course, on the lead is going to have some problems with the fighters, which is why we've got Medicham and Sableye in the back. If you're met with a fighter, of course, like a Scrafty, where Scrafty absolutely shuts out Bastion, you could see Surfetch'd, Medicham, even a pseudo fighter like Vigoroth or Obstagoon. Those two in particular are kind of tough, but it can sort of even out because Bastiodon is bulky enough to at least get off one Stone Edge. If it's Vigoroth, it would be risky to let the Bulldoze go through. On either Obstagoon or Vigoroth, I'm trying to get off a Stone Edge, and then looking to make a play into Medicham. Sableye is very risky on those two pseudo fighters in particular, obviously because they have normal typings. So Sableye wouldn't be the best option. It takes a team effort for one of those two. But Scrafty or Medicham or Surfetch'd, those are the 3 most common fighters. You could see Shadow Machamp as well. Of course, you're getting the heck out of there just as fast as you can into Sableye. Diggersby is another tricky lead for this team, guys. Not gonna lie, Diggersby on the lead is quite rough. But that is one where you can still go into Sableye and still have a pretty decent matchup. Unlike the other 2 normal types that I mentioned in Obstagoon and Vigoroth on the lead, Sableye can at least hit pretty hard with those foul plays. So you're still going to go into Sableye, even with the rare Diggersby lead that you may happen to run into. Nidoqueen on the lead is pretty rough as well. You want to try and get into your Sableye as fast as possible. That is key. You have to be super fast on the trigger, guys, when you're swapping on a Nidoqueen lead, because any sort of energy advantage, it's going to be pretty rough for you. But in all likelihood, they'll probably try to meet you with a Scrafty, as Nidoqueen typically comes paired with 2 dark types in the back, and 9 times out of 10, one of those dark types is going to be a Scrafty. And if you play that correctly, you're going to have to bait. You can actually beat Scrafty, depending on shielding scenarios and if you're able to successfully land a bait. Of course, if things go awry, the nuclear option, if your Sableye happens to fall to the Scrafty swap in, you got to come in with Medicham and look to play it out from there. But other than that, Bastiodon is pretty dominant on the lead. You got Pokemon like Walrein, which you have a decent matchup against. You just can't really let through a Earthquake. And a lot of Walreins will not try and stay in there on you for too long at all, really. Generally, they will immediately swap out because they don't want to tank that super effective fast move pressure. And in that case, you've got a good game. But this is team number 1, guys. I feature this team all the time whenever I do a best teams list for the Great League, and I'm still always in awe of how good it is and how overpowered and dominant it is. And that is none other than Bastiodon on the lead, Sableye on the safe swap, and Medicham in the back. So that's team number 1. And without further ado, let's hop into team number 2. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 2. Guys, season 11 is coming soon. Rankings are back. You know I had to have your back and give you some strong teams that you can make a strong push and climb with for season 11. And this is yet another amazing team for the Great League. And it leads with Defense Form Deoxys on the lead. Lickitung is your safe swap, and Walrein in the back to close the game strong. Now, guys, I always go over this whenever I have Lickitung on one of my teams. I always have to give you the disclaimer or preface it by saying that if you don't have a Lickitung, although they have been out in the wild quite a bit as of late, but if you don't quite have one ready, some very suitable replacements for it will be either Greedent or Munchlax. Those are the 2 best replacements for Lickitung. But for those of you that do have one ready, this team is going to be quite strong for you. So Defense Form Deoxys on the lead, of course, wants nothing to do with the ghost types. So you've got an amazing safe swap option in Lickitung that can more than handle those ghost types. And you've got Walrein in the back as well, which beats every ghost type in this meta, with the exception of Jellicent. That's the only ghost type you're going to have a problem with. And in that case, you've got Thunderbolt on Deoxys to fight back against potential Jellicents. And of course, Lickitung dominates Jellicent. So very strong and powerful team. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. And look at that, guys. Team number 2. I told you I had you covered. Whenever I build teams for these lists, I always have to bring you the best, because it's my goal to help you achieve whatever your goals may be when we have rankings in a season. Look at this scorecard, guys. This is a team to climb with if I've ever seen one. You get a B for coverage. You get an A for bulk, A for safety, and an A for consistency. You don't get much better than that, guys. I've got your back here, I'm telling you. So let's have a look at these matchups here. Of course, Defense Form Deoxys is one of the more flexible and solid leads in the Great League. Of course, its only Achilles heel is that weakness to the ghost types. Even if you're met with a dark type, Defense Form Deoxys can still put up a strong fight against the dark types. It's really only the ghost types you got to worry about, which is why we have Lickitung and Walrein in the back. So just about every lead outside of the strong ghost types, and I will say Swampert as well, you're swapping out on. And that is it, guys. Everything else, you're going to have a very fun time against. So all the ghost types are swapping out into Lickitung and Swampert. There's a lot of people, although I will admit that Swampert's Skarmory team has fallen off a little bit. I haven't seen quite as much of it as I have in the past, most likely because of the introduction of Araquanid. Araquanid is becoming a very powerful lead option. So that has, I think, discouraged a lot of those pesky Swampert Skarmory teams. But if you happen to run into it, just know that Defense Form Deoxys does not do particularly well against Swampert because it's predicated on you landing 2 of your Psycho Boosts. And you can bet the house that they're going to shield that first one, and they're going to be able to get off a couple of Hydro Cannons. So it's not the best matchup. A safe way to play it, if you want to grab a shield advantage, is to look to go to the CMP tie on the first Hydro Cannon, but it's not likely that they will throw there. They usually will like to build up to 8 of their mud shots. But you could catch one, slip in, guys, and get a CMP tie. You tank that Hydro Cannon and make a play into your Lickitung. You'll either do a lot of damage to Swampert or you'll grab a shield. Either one will work to your advantage. But other than that, you're going to do pretty well with this team. Like I said, Defense Form Deoxys is one of the more beginner-friendly leads to run just because it has so much dominance on the lead and a lot of flexibility, a lot of good coverage. Team number 2 will do very well for many of you out there if you happen to have all 3 of these Pokemon. And the scorecard speaks for itself. That is about as good as you get for a scorecard for team number 2. And that is Defense Form Deoxys on the lead, Lickitung on the safe swap, and Walrein in the back to close the game strong. So guys, with all that said, that is team number 2. Let's have a look at team number 3. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 3. And it is yet another banger of a team for you to run in the Great League. Get ahead on pushing for your rank, whatever your goals may be. This team is amazing. And it is Medicham on the lead, Registeel on the safe swap, and Alolan Marowak in the back to close the game strong. Now, guys, I was going to do a top 3 best teams for Alolan Marowak, but I knew that I was going to be doing my newly updated Great Leagues best teams list. So I said, you know, this really is the only Alolan Marowak team that you're going to need, guys, because it is the best Shadow Alolan Marowak team that you could possibly run. And we're about to find out right now. Here we go, guys. Check out this scorecard. You don't get much better than that for Alolan Marowak in the Great League. You get an A for coverage, A for bulk, a B for safety, and a B for consistency, guys. This is literally the best Shadow Alolan Marowak team that you could possibly run, and you saw it first right here from yours truly. And here we go, guys. So Medicham on the lead is going to win a lot of leads. Medicham is about as dominant as it gets in the Great League. And if you happen to run into a bad lead, something like a Charmer, that's why we've got both of these Pokemon in the back. Registeel is a very solid safe swap option because even if they swap in their fighter onto you, you can still really get off those debuffs, really put the pressure on their health or their shields with Registeel, and oftentimes even flip switch advantage depending on if you play it the right way or, you know, just depending on what they swap in onto you. So Medicham's going to dominate on the lead. If you run into the large tanky spider known as Araquanid, you're going to swap into your Registeel and look to play that out. The goal is to draw out a fighter or a Stunfisk, something like that. That way Medicham can come back in and take that out, leaving Alolan Marowak to really close the game strong, guys. Shadow Alolan Marowak has so much more closing potential in its Shadow form. Oh my goodness, that Shadow bonus just puts it right over the edge in terms of closing the game strong. One of the best closers in the Great League right now. Anything else like a flyer, like even Altaria, you can still do okay against. Because Medicham does outpace to the ice punches, you can play out the 2-shield. It is a very narrow loss, but Medicham outpacing to those double super effective ice punches is amazing. And something like that, I would even let the Medicham go down. Yeah, I would stay in and soft lose lead on Altaria. If they decide to no shield, you could even win lead and flip that. It all depends on your opponent and their playstyle. But the safer play is to let Medicham go down, and then you can come in with Registeel and finish it off and play from there. And the reason why I say that is because Altaria on the lead generally comes paired with at least one steel type, which is amazing for Alolan Marowak. So that's the safest play on Altaria. Araquanid, you've got 2 solid answers to Araquanid in the back. Nidoqueen on the lead. That's another one where you'll want to stay in there a little bit, play it out a little bit, maybe tank a Poison Fang and try and either pressure the health on the Nidoqueen or grab a shield advantage before making a play into Registeel. And Defense Form Deoxys, that's going to be the trickiest lead that you encounter. That's another one where you kind of have to soft lose lead with Medi and then look to come in with a Alolan Marowak. It's a little risky going into into Registeel on Defense Form Deoxys lead. So the safer play is the soft lose lead with Medi. And that's about it. Everything else, Medicham is dominating. Sableye, yeah, of course, the ghost types, much like Defense Form Deoxys. You'll want to get out of there into your Registeel. If it's Trevenant, try and get off that Ice Punch. They will generally tank an Ice Punch, knowing that they can. Even if you grab a shield, you're one step ahead because you're not going to want to stay in there on Trevenant on the lead or Sableye. Sableye, you're getting out of there immediately. Trevenant, I would try and pressure health or shields with the Ice Punch before making a play into Registeel. So that is team number 2. Everything else, Medicham absolutely dominates. That scorecard, you don't get much better. This is literally the best Alolan Marowak team that you can run, guys. So rather than do a whole list dedicated to Shadow Alolan Marowak, I figured I might as well throw my best team in with my top 5 best teams because Shadow Alolan Marowak absolutely deserves to be on the list. It is a game changer. So that is team number 3, guys. Medicham on the lead, Registeel on the safe swap, and Alolan Marowak in the back to close it strong. So that is team number 3. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 4. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 4. And if this team is looking familiar to you at all, it's because it's a team that I've featured in the past, most notably in my feature on Araquanid and in my top 3 best Araquanid teams, guys. This was team number 1. This is my best Araquanid team for the Great League. And it's so good, guys, that it made it onto my top 5 best teams overall for the Great League. That's how powerful this Araquanid team is. There are some good Araquanid teams out there by now, but I might be a little biased, but I think the stats will back me saying that I think this is actually the best team for Araquanid that you can run. And it is team number 4 on my top 5 best teams. And that's none other than Registeel on the lead, Trevenant on the safe swap, and Araquanid in the back to close the game strong. So let's have a look at this scorecard here. And there you have it, guys. The best Araquanid team that you could possibly run in the Great League. I know there are tons of good ones out there, but I think that this one, in my humble opinion, is the best one. And this scorecard more than backs that up because I have yet to find a better scorecard for Araquanid in the Great League. And it is a B for coverage, A for bulk, A for safety, and a B for consistency. You don't get much better than that, guys. And let's have a look at these matchups here. So Registeel's a very powerful lead in the Great League, and that is because it can apply intense, heavy charge move pressure, which allows you to pressure shields or health on your opponents. And of course, if you're met with a hard counter on the lead, you're going into Trevenant. Trevenant has amazing coverage on just about the entire Great League meta. And so hard lead losses are going to be ones like Metacham, basically the fighters, because the fighters, of course, absolutely dominate Registeel. So basically Metacham, Scrafty, the two pseudo fighters in this meta like Vigoroth and Obstagoon, you're going to get out of there. But Obstagoon and Vigoroth are very unique counter users because Registeel can still really threaten them. So the way I like to play those two in particular is I will look to bait with a Zap Cannon and then try like heck to get off a Focus Blast. And by then, you will either have a shield advantage or take it out completely with the Focus Blast. That's how I play the two pseudo fighters, that being Vigoroth and Obstagoon. The other actual fighters that actually have a fighting typing, you're getting out of there immediately into Trevenant and looking to play from there. Like the strong steel types in this meta, like Stunfisk, you can still put up a strong fight against them. And really either pressure health or pressure shield. So something like Stunfisk, I will usually stay in and either try to land the Focus Blast or grab a shield advantage before making a play in the Trevenant. That's how I play Stunfisk on the lead. Even Pokemon like Nidoqueen, I'll often stay in and look to really chip the health or pressure a shield with Focus Blast because although it's resisted, it still does a lot of damage in the Great League format to Nidoqueen. And Trevenant on the lead, of course, that's a lead loss. I play Trevenant much like I do with just about everything else with Registeel. I will look to get off that Zap Cannon, and they usually tank that Zap Cannon. And the safer play would be to let the Shadow Ball go through. You don't want to go down a shield because you want to get off that Zap Cannon damage, get off that debuff, and then look to come in with your own Trevenant with even shields. That's how you have success on those Trevenant leads. But everything else you're going to have a good, solid play against in the meta. So something like Cofagrigus, again, you'll want to try and get off that Zap Cannon, just like with Trevenant, and look to make a play into your own Trevenant. So that is team number 4, guys. Amazing scorecard. In my humble opinion, the best Araquanid team you could possibly run in the Great League. And my number 4 best team overall in the entire Great League as a whole. And that is Registeel on the lead, Trevenant on the safe swap, and Araquanid in the back to close the game strong. So that is team number 4. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 5. All right, guys, here we go. Last but certainly not least, team number 5. And by no means did I create this team, much like the Bastiodon Metacham team. These are the only 2 teams that I have not created myself, but they are absolutely worth being on my list. The other 3 teams featured in this video I did create myself, but the Basti Metacham team, obviously I did not create, and I did not create this team here for number 5 either, but again, if it's good and worth being on my list, it's gonna be on the list, and that is none other. I know you have all seen it. Every single one of you watching this video have seen this team at one point or another. It is probably the most heavily used team, right there with the Swampert Skarmory team, and that is none other than Trevenant on the lead, Galarian Stunfisk on the safe swap, and Azumarill in the back to close the game strong. This team is quite powerful. It's been used tremendously ever since Trevenant was released. This has been the most consistently used Trevenant team in the Great League. And that's for a good reason. It's a pretty solid team. So let's have a look at the scorecard here. And not bad, guys. We can see why everybody's using this team. It's got an identical scorecard to team number 4, my Araquanid team that I created. But it does have that B for coverage, A for bulk, A for safety, and a B for consistency. You don't get much better than that. Very strong and powerful team for the Great League. So this team is very good because it's quite flexible, has amazing coverage on the entire Great League meta, an excellent team to climb with. And that Trevenant on the lead is going to win lead a lot in the Great League. Of course, you really just have to watch out for the opposing Shadow Claw users, most notably Sableye, but even something like a Cofagrigus could give Trevenant some problems. But Trevenant overall is quite the powerhouse on the lead. You're going to win lead a lot with Trevenant. Other ghost types, it's worth staying in on with the exception of Sableye. You might want to try and land that Seed Bomb and look to get out of there because Sableye is taking neutral damage from your fast move pressure while dealing out super effective fast move pressure to you. So I try to chip with a Seed Bomb before making a play into Stunfisk. Stunfisk is the dedicated safe swap on this team. You could also run it more like a pseudo ABB style team where Stunfisk on the lead and you safe swap Trevenant. That's a more ABB style way of playing this team, but any variation wherever you have these Pokemon positioned on the team, you're going to do amazing with. The classic variation is having Trevenant on the lead, but you could flip Stunfisk onto the lead and still do extremely well. But the idea is to pick up those strong fighting type leads, pick up those Deoxys leads. Something like a Nidoqueen is a little rough. I always try to chip with a Seed Bomb. You don't want to bother building all the way up to the Shadow Ball because they're just going to shield it anyways. You try to just get that chip damage. You can tank the first Poison Fang and then look to make a play in the Stunfisk and go from there. But yeah, we all know this team by now. It's an amazing team, very powerful team in the Great League. It has been ever since Trevenant was released, and that scorecard speaks volumes as to why it's been so heavily used in the Great League. It is quite strong and a very solid team to climb with, and that is Trevenant on the lead, Galarian Stunfisk on the safe swap, and a Zoom roll in the back for team number 5, guys. And that about wraps it up for my top 5 best teams in the Great League. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a new fresh season coming in just a couple of days from now. Rankings are going to be back, so I really wanted to give you guys some very, very strong, solid teams to help you achieve your goals, get ahead of the game, and reach whatever your goal may be, whether that's to hit Legend, go all the way to Legend, or if you're working your way up, maybe you want to hit Veteran or Expert, whatever that may be. All 5 of these teams are amazing, solid teams to climb within the Great League, so I wanted to get you guys off on the right foot when Season 11 drops this coming Wednesday, and it should be fun. Rankings are back. I'm super excited, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly did. As always, I thank you for watching, and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.